Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. I am the little foodie, and today we're going to be making cinnamon buns. So I'm going to leave a link at the bottom of this video with a recipe, all the ingredients you're going to need. So we're just going to get straight into this. So I have my flour in a Pyrex bowl, and I have my jug, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to add the water. And I'm going to add the milk, and then I'm going to pop this into the microwave for about 30 seconds. Now you want this just warm. The ideal heat is about 105 to 110 degrees. You don't want this boiling hot, as you know it will kill your yeast. So you just want this at about hand temperature. So about 30 seconds in the microwave is fine. But I'm also using Alison's Easy Bake yeast, so I don't actually have to prove this. I normally don't like using this stuff, but at the minute this is pretty much that's all that's about, if you can actually even get this. So yeah, we're just going to give that a quick heat up. So about 30 seconds will be fine for that. And then all I'm going to do to that is I'm going to add the butter into that, and I'm also going to add the sugar into that. So just a few seconds now, and that will be up to temperature nicely. And just give that another 10 seconds. Check this. Yep, so that's perfect. Okay, so into this now, I'm literally just going to add the butter. And that's the butter in. And then I'm just going to set this to one side. I'm just going to add the salt into the flour, and I'm just going to give that a stir. Okay, so that's stirred in, so I'll just move this over to one side. Okay, so now I'm just going to add the sugar. So that's the sugar in. And I'm just going to give that a little mix. Okay, and then I'm just going to sit that off to one side. And then I have one egg. That's a medium egg. So all I'm going to do is crack the egg in. And then I'm just going to beat the egg. Just make sure the egg's well beaten. Okay, so that's the egg nicely beaten now. So we'll just sit this off to one side. And then at this stage now, I'm just going to put the yeast in, the active yeast, so I can actually get this open. So one packet of this is it's working out at about 7 grams. So I'm just going to put that straight in. Normally you would, like I say, you normally would have to prove this, but because it's an easy bake yeast, you don't have to, which means you'll only have to do one rise on this as well, so you won't have to go for a second rise. Some people find it, you know, easier to work with, but like I say, I'm not a big fan of it. Okay, so we'll just check this. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate the, I'm going to make a slight well in this, and then I'm just going to add the mix. Okay, so that's that. And then I'm also going to add the egg, but I'm just going to give it a slight mix first, as it is warm and we don't want the egg to cook. So just a slight mix. So that's that. And then we're going to add the egg. And then we're just going to mix this just until it starts to combine. Make this a bit closer. Okay, so that's started to combine nicely. I'm just going to clean this spoon off. That to one side. And then I just have a little bit of flour here, just for the surface. So I'm just going to flour my surface. And then I'm going to tip the mix out. Put this to one side again. Okay, so all I'm going to do with this now is I'm just going to start kneading this. You know, and at the start it will be tacky. So you just have to knead it. It'll take about 8 to 10 minutes. So all I'm literally doing to knead it is just push in here, turn a quarter turn, and again like that. And obviously it's still sticky, so we'll just put a little bit more down and just a little bit on top. And then again, just going to start kneading. And as you start the kneading process, the dough will become silky, you know, but obviously it will be wet. So you just have to keep incorporating that flour. Not too much, just a little bit, because you don't want to incorporate any more into the recipe. So again, just turning, using the heel of your hand, just to keep working the dough. And again, if it gets a little too tacky, just a tiny bit onto the surface, and continue to work it. As you can see, the dough's already starting to come together. It's not as wet and it's not as tacky anymore. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to do this for 8 to 10 minutes. So I'll come back halfway through this, show you the texture of the dough, and then we'll just continue to knead it. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so I'm just about halfway through the kneading process. So I'll just give you a quick look at this to show you where we're at. As you can see, the dough's not as sticky anymore, but this still needs, I would say, another 4, maybe 5 minutes of kneading. So I'll continue on doing that, and then we'll come back again. Okay, so we're nearly at that point where the dough's good to go. As you can see, the dough's no longer tacky. It's looking really nice now. So all I'm going to do now is just form this into a little ball. And then we're going to put some oil into the bowl. And then we're just going to roll the dough in it. Okay, so this is our dough now. Looking good. And then I have a little bit of oil here, just here, and I'm just going to pop that in. It's only the slightest amount, maybe half a teaspoon, if even that. And then I'm just going to grab the dough. I'm going to put that in. This will help stop the dough from sticking to the sides when you're leaving it to sit. Now, this is going to need between an hour to a 2-hour rise. And it really does depend on how warm your kitchen is. So the warmer the better, really. But we're just going to cover it with cling film, and then we're going to give it the hour to 2 hours that it needs to rise. So once that's done, I'll come back again, and we'll get on with making the rest of them. So for me, it's going to be 2 hours. For you guys, it's literally just going to be a millisecond. So guys, I'll see you soon. Okay guys, so it's been roughly 2 hours, and as you can see, we've got a really nice rise on this. Looks absolutely brilliant. Probably doubled, maybe even trebled in size, so that's even better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to flour this surface just a bit. You're going to need quite a bit of a space for this to roll this out. Okay, so I'm just going to tip this out now, as you can see. Nice. Move this bowl off to one side, and I'm just going to flour the top of this again, just to form it. Okay, so I'm now ready to start rolling this out. I'm going to put a little bit more flour down just on the bottom. Like I said, you're going to need quite a bit of space for this, so get that flour down. Okay, so just move these off to the side for 1 minute. A bit more flour over here, just to make sure it doesn't stick. And I'm just going to put a bit on the rolling pin, and we'll start rolling this out. So the shape I'm actually looking for here is a rectangle. So we're just going to roll this out one way, just to get the shape started. I'll move this just a little bit closer so you can see. There we go. So just get it to the length that I want. It's about here. And then I'm just going to turn it around again. Here. Don't need any more flour because it's not sticking. And I'm just going to continue to roll this out. It's fine that way, and then I'm going to go this way again. You want to try and keep it all the same size. Just makes it handier for when you're actually rolling it over. Okay, so that's pretty much the shape that I want. Taking a little bit more this side, tiny bit more here and here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Move it over slightly. And don't be afraid to move this if you need to move it. Slight bit more. Okay, and we're good to go now for the next stage. So I'll bring my butter over. And I'll just grab something from the drawer here. Fine. So I'm just going to use a spoon for this. And all I've got here is melted butter. So I'm just going to put the butter over. I'm just going to leave a slight gap about 1 centimetre down this side, just for when we're folding it so it sticks nicely. I'm going to get a good bit of this butter on, and then I'm just going to rub the butter in, making sure to leave that gap. Okay, so that's nice. Just a tiny bit more butter. Okay, so that's that. Just grab a tea towel here. Move this off to one side. And so here in this bowl, I have my brown sugar, which is light brown sugar, and the cinnamon. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to start sprinkling this on. Just try and get this as even as you possibly can. You know, some people like a lot more in it, but I tend to just get a nice coat on it. And just spread it out to the edges. And we'll just push it down, remembering to leave that centimetre gap, because you do want it to stick. Just get it nicely coated. Oh, this smells amazing. Smells phenomenal. I've got the family just off shot. I think Emma's on her phone, so is Lexi. Tristan's sitting there smiling at me, waving at me. He's looking forward to eating these. Yeah. Good stuff. Happy days. Okay, so I've used about half of that mix, and I think that's plenty for this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start rolling this. Actually, I'll just put a little bit more on this edge, just a tiny bit more. Okay, that's good. That's good to go. Okay, so what you're going to need to do now is you don't want to put too much pressure on it at this point. You just want to grab the edge and just roll it in on itself. Just being nice and light with it. You don't need to press this at all. And just start rolling with your two hands. And it'll start to come together on its own. Push this up slightly and this end. And then just continue to roll. Just making sure I grab the edges as well. Okay, so we're up to here now. And we'll just slide this back. to here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off the two edges with a knife. So I'm just going to take off this part here and the opposite end. Okay, so I'm just going to discard that, put it to one side. Okay, that's that. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to mark them. I wouldn't suggest that you use a knife to actually cut through these because it tends to just push them together a bit more. So I'm just going to mark these equal sizes just across, just so they're all roughly the same shape. And if you can, try and get these as close as possible to the same size. This one's a little big on the end here, so I'm just going to take a little nick off the end of that. Put that to one side. And so what I do now with this, I just use a piece of thread. I'm not sure if you can see this. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to run this underneath, line it up with the line, and then I'm just going to fold them over each other. And I'm just going to pull. And that's one. It's two. So I'll give you a little look at that. And I'm just going to leave these off to the side. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead, continue to do these. It's going to take me a minute or so, and then we'll come back, we'll get them trayed up, and we'll get them into the oven. Happy days, guys. Right, so that's them all rolled and ready to go and cut, sorry, should I say. So as you can see, we've had a really nice rise on these, nice and light, which is what you're looking for. So we're just going to pop them into the tray. I've just got some greaseproof paper on this, so I'm going to leave them with about maybe 2 centimeters gap between each one, just so it gives them time, gives them space to expand. So I'll just pop these in. Hopefully I have enough room for all of these. One here. One here. One here. Okay, so I don't actually have enough room, so I've got 2 off to the side, which I'll cook at a later time. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to leave. I'm going to cover these now with cling film, and I'm going to leave these for another 20 minutes, just to give them another little prove. I don't really have to because I was using Easy Bake, but I'm just going to give them that little 20 minutes that they need. So for me, it'll be 20 minutes. For you guys, no time at all. So I'm just going to set these here, and I'll see you in 20 minutes. Okay, so there we have it. These are ready to go into the oven now. Oh, nearly lost them there. And all I'm going to do is push down on these, just so they get a nice even rise. Try and keep them all the same. And the oven is at 170, so I'm going to put these in. I would say between 10 to 15 minutes. So I'll get these into the oven, and then we'll come back and we'll check these out, and I'll give you a look at them, and then we'll make the cream cheese topping for them. These are going to be awesome. I'm sure you want one of these, TP.
Yep.
He definitely wants one. Okay guys, so we'll be back soon. Okay, so I've now taken these out of the oven. As you can see, these look absolutely phenomenal. I'm really pleased with how these came out. And so we're just going to set these to one side now, and just to let them cool, and we'll just make a quick cream cheese topping for them, and we'll get the topping on while it's still warm, just to let that melt over the top of them. So we'll get straight into that. So what we're going to do is get some Philadelphia. I have just a tub here. Get the weight of this. I think it's about 200 grams, between 180 to 200 grams. So we're just going to put that in. Now really for this you do want a mixer, even a little handheld mixer, but I don't have one, so I've just taken this out early just to keep it at room temperature, so it's not as hard to mix. As you can see, it's already quite soft. So I'm just going to give that a mix with a spoon, and into this I'm just going to start adding the icing sugar. Now I'm going to go with about a tablespoon at a time, just till I get the sweetness that I want from it. Just 1 tablespoon in. And with another spoon, I'm just going to taste this. So it's not quite there yet, so I'm going to add another tablespoon in. And you don't want to make this too sweet, because you've got the sweetness already from the sugar that's on the cinnamon. So it's a nice contrast just to have it a little less sweet. And I'm just going to grab another spoon. A spoon here, which I have. Okay, so we're very, very close now. I'm just going to put in 1 more. One. That should be all good to go. Now, I'm a big fan of cinnamon myself, so what I'm going to do to this is, I've got some lovely Indian cinnamon, ground cinnamon. So I'm going to add a pinch of that in, if I can actually find it. What have I done with it? Be a good question. Okay, so I can't find the cinnamon. So, oh, there we go, there we go, there we go. Look at that, cinnamon. So I'm just going to add a touch of this into it, because I love my cinnamon. Who doesn't? I'm sure there's people out there that don't, but I absolutely love it. Okay, so that's mixed in nicely. And bring this over. This is cool enough now. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting the frosting on top, because that's still warm. We'll get plenty of that frosting on. And just let that melt into them. Oh, the smell is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. You know, I prefer them this way. My son actually prefers them just standard on their own without the topping, but hey, each to their own. Nearly there. Two more to go. You can put as much of this or as little as this on as you like. All depends on your preference. And that was just enough there, just to cover them all. So we have 2, 4, 6. We have 8 here altogether. And we'll just leave these. Okay, just going to move this bowl off to one side. Okay guys, so let's see if we can actually take these out. Just to show you, see if I can be careful and slide these off. Oh, smell unreal. Turn them this way. So guys, that is pretty much it there. That's them good to go. I'm just going to leave these a little while longer to cool, and then they're ready for eating. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Do try and make these, and I will put the recipe on the comment box below. So guys, enjoy these, and if you haven't already, please subscribe.